right, we are live coming to you today from somewhere in the webverse. But we are coming from Southern Kentucky. So we are so glad that KDE, Kentucky Department of Education, is putting together this awesome series. And this is part two of the series. So part two of the series is all about pedagogy. So how do we actually implement stuff, right? Not more curriculum, not more tools, but how do we actually implement stuff? How do we do stuff in the classroom, which is awesome. So today we are going to hear from an international rock star, John Carippo. He is the co-author of EduProtocols, and EduProtocols is so awesome. It's so cool, but don't let me hype it up because you are going to hear from dynamic educators in Kentucky. You are going to hear from leaders, from principals, from superintendents, and the like. So I think educator voice is important. We seldom ask educators what their thoughts are on things, right? So I think this series that we're doing right now will have some snippets of educator voice, which I think is very, very important in this kind of stuff. So just want to give you a quick introduction. John Carippo is coming to us. He is going to lead us through some of the EduProtocol stuff. We're going to chime in, talk about it. And this is a two-part series. So the first part is this morning. So for 55 minutes, we're here. We'll get off for 5. You'll have another link, and then we'll click back on for the second half as we move through this thing. But it's all about the various strategies that we can use in the classroom. Next year, John? Is it
Nope, brother.
next
We can start
month?
using them today,
Oh,
literally
wait a minute.
today.
Today?
That easy to implement. Yep.
No way. No
Yeah,
way.
it's, I've had
You're
teachers all
getting
over
me
the
all
world
hyped up
go,
now.
"Oh my gosh, is it this easy to switch the way I teach and get massive results?" And yeah, it is that easy.
Wait a minute. Did you say results?
Yep, because it's one thing to teach for the love of teaching. It's another thing to enjoy working with the kids. Those are great. But just like a football coach or a volleyball coach or a marching band coach, I want results, man. On race day, I want to show up with kids being their best selves. And Edu Protocols makes that piece really, really, really achievable. And here's how much I can put my money where my mouth is, Randall. 2 years ago, I left administration and I went back and I taught sixth grade full time and I got great results without working hardly ever outside of my contract hours. I quadrupled my kids' math scores that year. We went
What?
from 9 to 41% passing. I did almost no work outside of contract hours. And a lot of teachers just don't even think it's possible. So we'll be sharing some of those techniques today.
Now, wait a minute, John. You are actually saying that teachers will have more time to do the stuff that they want, great results for kids. We might even be able to sit back and sip a latte or two, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I've got a
All right.
friend who teaches at the AP level. He's 18 points higher than the state average on the AP test.
Okay.
And he does almost nothing at home.
And I love how you intro this, where you said it's the best results that kids want for themselves, right? So kids
Yeah,
becoming the best selves that they are. So it's all about that inside personal growth and that confidence that kids are getting and
yeah.
kids working together and all that kind of good stuff.
It's great to see kids come alive because their voice is being heard. It's great to hear kids come alive because they are participating in class for the first time ever. Hey, why don't you put up the code so people can start jumping in the Nearpod?
Wait a minute, John. Did you say Nearpod?
I sure did.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to do things slightly different than what people are used to when they see these kind of things, right? So we are going to put up a Nearpod code, and I do believe there are quite a few teachers in Kentucky who are familiar with Nearpod. So we are going to put up this code, and we're going to try to do some interactive sessions right now, right, John? So
Yeah.
teachers will be able to follow along live right now, and for the
Yep.
folks who don't have an opportunity and they want to watch the replay, there will be a code that they can use as anytime learners.
Yep. We'll
So
put that
walk us
code up
through,
when we
John,
when
what
we get
people
into
need
the
to do with
slides
this.
here. Yeah, when we get into the slides in a second, I'll put the code up on screen. This code is for the live session. So if you by chance you're watching this in the recorded version, U5FLX. And Randall, I don't know if you can put that in the chat too. That would not hurt. so folks can see that visually. And so you basically go to join.nearpod.com, and you don't need to log in. There's a part that says sign in as guest. You hit that. Like, you don't have to do the full on Google login and all that business. U5FLX is our code we're looking for. And I'm going to leave that up for a few more seconds.
Yep.
And I'm just really excited about this because, Randall, a lot of times when folks are doing things like this, it's just listen to me, listen, listen, listen. We're actually going to be doing, I think, 4 or 5 EduProtocols this morning, so people will get a chance to get their hands on them and see, what does it feel like to be a learner. And in the book that Richard Elmore wrote about classroom rounds, I really loved one of his quotes, which was, we learn the work by doing the work. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's a simple truth right there. If you want to understand what it's like to be the student, at some point you've got to be the student. And so we're going to do some fun versions of some of the Edger protocols in this mode, and I think people are really going to enjoy it based on the fact that I've done these over the last year and a half in about 260 classrooms across the world. And then here's the student paste code while people are still joining in. You can see that the U5FLX, that's for the live group if you're in live right now. And then the student paste code goes like this. It goes W6QD7. So that's the code if folks want to join in after the fact, like after hours at a different time. And Randall, it looks like we got about 9 people in, which is a great little start. And remember, the code I'm putting on the screen right now, this is the later code. This is the later code. This is going to be up, I think, until April, Randall, so people can go through, watch the video, and play the Nearpod section up until April of 23. So it's going to be there for quite some time for folks that want to check in later. So I think these first few slides are you, Randall. So I'll be the clicker, and you can walk us through.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am so pumped about this, but we have to tie together the EduProtocols, which is maybe a new thing for some people. So we have to tie this together to figure out exactly what is this thing and how does it work. So let me make it a little bit bigger. So for instance, in Kentucky, we have the KYMTSS process, which is the Kentucky Multi-Tiered System of Supports. So many of our teachers, schools have access to this, and they have the ability to use some of these great resources. So we're going to figure out how do we tie that together with the Kentucky Equity Playbook, which is all about the student achievement components of assessment, formative assessments, and feedback, differentiation, scaffolding, all of the good stuff, right? So those small groups that teachers are doing in their classrooms. So all of that really great stuff. How does EduProtocols tie in with that? So that's one component that we're really going to take a look at today.
About 45 seconds to answer the poll. We do MTSS in California as well. The basic precepts are the same. We have a Californianized version of it, but we do the exact same kinds of things, and that's where I've spent about 20 years in the classroom developing all the protocols that roll right along with the MTSS model. And so we've got some folks in here. So the question is, how familiar are you with the Kentucky MTSS? And you guys, this is one of the great things about Nearpod is we can do little polls like this on the fly. So you can see the data starting to come in here in real time. Randall, the little pie chart here is going to change as people start answering. Like, if are they a 1, like they sort of know about MTS? Are they a 2? Are they trainer level? And I just love this about Nearpod because it allows people to, generate real-time feedback on what's going on.
Yeah, and I totally love the fact that you have instant data, right? So instant
Hmm.
access to what people are thinking, kids are thinking in your classroom, the adults are thinking in their training. So instant access, and it gives us some perspective as to who's out there and what they're thinking, what experience they're bringing to the table, so we can work together on this.
Yeah, and then everybody that's in the Nearpod, I'm hitting this share and unshare button, so it's showing them the results. And we got a, it's what's nice here is we got a nice kind of heterogeneous group. We got a few people that are like, "Hey, dude, I'm a 5. I got this." We got a few people that are like, "Yeah, I'm pretty good. I've heard of it. I've explored." And then we got a few people that are like, "Hey, what's this all about? This is kind of new to me. I've heard the acronym, but maybe there's some more things I can learn." So that's our first little poll. And back to you, Randall.
Yep. And so it's this whole process of United We Learn, right? So everybody's coming in with different skill sets, but together, if we work at our strengths, we can really get at this whole thing, which is about students. So the other part that we're going to also look at today is this thing called the What Works Clearinghouse. So sometimes we get a little confused with the What Works Clearinghouse. We're like, where is it? What does it actually do? So everybody says, hey, go out and get some evidence-based lessons, or base your
Hmm.
lessons and
Hmm.
practices off of whatever is deemed as evidence-based. Well, where do we go? Well, it's this thing called What Works Clearinghouse. So that's where you can go in, and they already tell us, hey, these are the great practices that you can do in your classroom, and they have great results. So we're going to try to take a look at the What Works Clearinghouse, how that couples with the EduProtocols. So for today, we're going to use the 3 pieces. And so those 3 pieces will be combining graphics with verbal descriptions. So basically, they're recommending that teachers use different graphics, graphs, figures, and have
Hmm.
some verbal descriptions that go with it to couple it. And obviously, that's how kids learn better. So in addition to this, the verbal descriptions also need to be very clear. Then the next
Hmm.
part we're going to use is also quizzes. So when we talk about quizzes, we want to expose kids to information. Now, let's just be clear about this. This is baseline, John.
Yep.
Baseline. This is the very baseline that we want. So we want some delayed exposure, and then get kids back into the key content just to see if they can recall the information. This is baseline. This is what propels us to the deeper learning. So this is just baseline stuff with the quizzes and information. We don't want to say over quiz the kids.
Yep.
And then the last one that we're going to look at with the What Works Clearinghouse is questioning, right? So how do we develop really deep questions for kids and allow them to really ponder their learning, but also ponder, how do I fit into this learning? Who am I in this learning experience? And what do I bring to the table with this learning experience? So the 7th piece is really the depth of knowledge that we all want, the application of learning, right? And so we'll go
Right.
into that a little bit today as well with some of the EduProtocols. All right. So with this, we have the other component. So we have yet one more component, which is visible learning. So we look at visible learning effect size. And so this study has been done over 25 years, 300 million students across the world, 1,800 studies of studies. Uh, that's a lot of studies, in my opinion.
That's a
And then
lot of
you have
studies.
over 108,000 studies. So there's some validity here, but I think the bottom line to the visible learning, when they give us a chart of information, and we'll have the link for where you can find all this stuff as well, and we'll go through it. The bottom line is the 0.4. Anything over 0.4 effect size is great. So now you don't have to waste your time going down a rabbit hole looking at something and thinking you're doing something really great, but the research says that that specific practice has less than 0.4 effect size. So we're going to give you some of the really good ones here today. In EduProtocols, we're going to look at everything over 0.4, or at least 9 of them over 0.4.
Hmm.
And we'll also show you what effect size they have deemed by the research. And then we'll go from there and make it happen. But this is the man, John Carippo. We are in this thing called United We Learn, and we have these 4 components that are critical. So critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. We've all heard of the 4 C's, and the United We Learn moniker really helps us to boost that up so we can get to the attributes of deeper learning. And I think that's what it's all about, is taking EduProtocols, giving voice to kids, and getting to that deeper learning level, John.
You've got me inspired this morning, Randall. I think I want to start a thing called the What Doesn't Work Clearinghouse. And The great thing is the What Works Clearinghouse only has 3 items, Randall. It has one. What doesn't work is talking to kids for a long time before they work. It doesn't work. What doesn't work is fill in the blanks and bubble tests. We know this. And the third one that doesn't work is kids that are doing work that is closed-ended. Kids like open-ended scenarios. That's why they do things like Minecraft. I mean, if you think about Minecraft in its simplest sense, Randall, it's just blocks, man. But you got kids out there making YouTube videos about things they've done with the blocks, right? That's kind of like Legos. Nobody knows exactly what a Lego could be when you get that box. So I'm going to make a what doesn't work clearinghouse, and
I
like
love
I
that.
said, it's only got 3 items.
It's only got
It's
three
super
items.
super
Oh,
simple.
and what I
These
love
things don't
about
work.
yeah, what I love about the EduProtocols is everybody thinks, okay, wait a minute, John, let me go download the EduProtocols app and it's going to tell me exactly what. Let me go get the EduProtocols tool that's going to. EduProtocols is not a tool; it's a pedagogy, right? It's a practice, right?
Yep, yep. And and it works with any tool. So a lot of times people will say to us, "Oh, I use blah. How does protocols work there?" It works the same. And we always like to compare it to like a Venn diagram. I can use a Venn diagram in PowerPoint. I can use it in Office 365. I can use it in Google Slides. I can use that same Venn diagram all over the place. And so that's the way that Edge protocols work. They are a pedagogical approach. They are not a curriculum, and they work with basically TK through 20. Like we've used them with adults in college classes and all those kinds of things. So we're going to do our first little game here, Randall. Are you pretty good at Turkish?
I have had Turkish every Thanksgiving.
So I'm going to go right here. Let's go. I'm going to go with beach mode, and then we're going to play a little. We're going to play a little time to climb here. Whoops, wrong button. Let me send that back there. And time to climb is great because it gives kids immediate feedback and they can get right in and play and have a great time and they can do all of their learning types of things. It's a one of my favorite tools that's built um, into Nearpod, and it's just a super way for kids to do things that are like repetitive tasks, math facts, Latin roots, key vocabulary, things like that. It's just really, really slick. So I'm going to go with the Halloween one.
And that's inside of Nearpod as well, right?
And it's yeah, it's built into Nearpod. I'm not sure why it's not going forward here. What button am I missing? Driving myself crazy here. I love though. We'll just go over the overview of it though. It'll randomize the answers. You can pause the game in between questions for discussion, and then we can always turn the sound thingy off. So let me try this again. So that goes forward. Well, it's not going, and that's okay, Randall. We're going to go to our first video, but I want to switch back to this slide here real quick on this one. So if you've ever used GimKit, Quizzes, Blookit, any of those tools like that, one of my new favorites is 99 Math, which is totally free. I love WordWall.net. What we do with those is an Edge protocol called the Fast and the Curious. And we're going to get into that one here in a couple of minutes. And but right now, what we're going to do is we've got a testimonial from a teacher. If you want to play Danita's video from Bullitt County, Kentucky.
EduProtocols. EduProtocols are a wonderful tool that I would highly suggest anyone in Kentucky check out. Bullitt County Public Schools has been starting to use EduProtocols, and we have seen tremendous difference in classrooms and teachers. Engagement in classrooms, support. You can always find something. All of these people that I've just been flipping through are all wonderful support systems. EduProtocols are instructional lesson frames. If you're not familiar with what they go for every grade level, every content, high rigor, high engagement. They meet the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking. And I bet they'll even align with your graduate profile like they do ours. EduProtocols are easy to add to any classroom. Any new teacher starting out, you have an immediate way to reach your students with engaging content. It may be messy at first, just like anything. Just like everything in education, things change. All of these things that I'm showing you, all of these concepts, have all been used in our district with great success. Repuzzler, Chatterbox, Frere model, they all may be words you've heard about. But have you actually seen them in action? These are student projects, Frere model. The rigor on this, they increased from having 20% on their quizzes to having 70s, 80s, and 90s. How much better can you get? It's awesome. Repuzzler, all of those Frere models you've been using, you just take them and cut them apart. That's what our students are doing. That's what our teachers are having our students do. They create it. Just like at the beginning, like I said, they're the ones that are doing the work. They're the ones doing the learning. Teachers are the guide to their learning. Chatterbox, all of these things I'm flipping through. Thin slides, thick slides, sketch and tells. They're great concepts and things that you can immediately put into your classroom and put into your lesson plans. EduProtocols not only are specific lesson frames, but they're lesson frames that can be added to any content, any subject, but also for any teacher, whether they're one of your high rigor teachers or whether you're one of your teachers that just don't know where to start. That's what's nice about EduProtocols, is that they'll be able to help at any level. So the thing that I probably love the most about EduProtocols is the support systems. You can find any template you think you need for any subject, any content, like I've said, but then the support system of the people, the Facebook groups, the authors. It's not one of those you buy a book and you go read it and you figure it out. They'll support you. They'll actually want to come to your classroom. They want to see what's going on. They want to see how it's working. They want to hear from you. It's awesome to have that kind of support system all over the United States. So if you've never checked out EduProtocols, I highly suggest it. Let's shift the workload. Let's work smarter, not harder, and give EduProtocols a try in Kentucky. We've seen a big difference in Bullitt County. We've seen scores rise. We've seen engagement rise. We've seen teachers that had kind of fallen back and said, I'm just going to do what I want to do, being excited about teaching again and want to have these EduProtocols in their classrooms because they see their kids' faces light up. Isn't that why we're here? We want to see our kids' faces light up. We want to see them be successful and achieve. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always willing to share anything I have and any ideas. Would love to talk to you about EduProtocols. Have a great day.
Yeah, so that's right from Kentucky, thanks to Danita Cobalt. Like, is what's so cool about it is we when we've got teachers like her, we can just say, "Hey, Danita, tell us a little bit about protocols," and she creates that and sends it in. Amazing.
So, John, let's find some easy wins in the next couple slides. How about that?
Yeah. Hey, Randall, your volume is a little quiet right now, just to let you
There we go. Let's find some easy wins, John.
know. There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Let's go.
Okay, so this is
Look, I'm so pumped up. I had to mute myself because I was just like back here cheering for her.
cheering
Like,
and
wow.
yelling. Well, so I'm going to use the little highlighter tool here in Nearpod, and we've got the three things we talked about at the beginning, the What Works Clearinghouse. Three, here's some threes. Randall, you want to talk about some of the threes there?
Absolutely. So if you look vertically up and down the column, so in 3, which is purple, so 3 is about graphics, right? So in the EduProtocols, we'll have these 3 that we're going to explore today. So it's the Frere classmate, sketch and draw. Actually, it should be sketch and tell, John. Sorry about that.
We're not picky.
Art of stacking. And then the orange one, 5B, is Fast and Curious, Numbers Mania, and the Ultimate Exit Ticket. And that's all about the reps. How many reps can we get? And then the 7th one is this deeper thinking, deeper learning exploration, right? The open-ended stuff that John loves, that we talk about. So that's the Iron Chef, the book of Kocha, the Speed Geeking. So all of these things have unique names, but we're going to explore them. But most importantly, you can see the effect size is tied to them right below it. So let's say, for instance, Fast and the Curious. It sounds cool. Don't know quite what it is, but it has a 0.73 effect size. Now, remember, we said 0.4 was the cutoff line for a good year's worth of growth. So 0.73. So if you even
So
look
a 0.4 is like Sixth grade Randall gets through the year, got like a B plus, great year, right? That's a 0.4.
Yep.
But if you look at these numbers, 0.8, 0.73, 0.99, 1.33, 1.28.
That's some pretty big growth that's going to occur by just using some of these strategies, I think.
And here's the part that Danita was explaining. We're getting this work, this result, and not working weekends to get there, and not staying till 8 or 9 o'clock at night at school, developing the lesson plans. That's the part that blows people's minds.
That's right. That's right. And so we'll send out some of these. I know some people in the chat have asked, will we have links to this stuff? Absolutely. Even something like this. This is just a overview of the visible learning component. And thanks to Kentucky Department of Education, they said, hey, you have to get this up there, man. This is good stuff. We want this. So I said, all right, let's do it. And so Dr. Tucker and
Yeah.
the entire crew there said, let's put this up. So here are the definitions for
And
those growth
if
items.
anybody's joining late, the code here, I'm putting it on the big screen for a second. Join.nearpod.com, just in case you just joined us a few minutes late. Join.nearpod.com, and then there's the code U5FLX. It's at the top of the screen right there the whole time.
John, I
And we're going to
love your
give everybody the slides at the end.
I love your level of inclusiveness, right?
Yeah,
Regardless of
yeah.
when you joined, when you got into this, we're going to
Doesn't matter.
include you all day long. I love it.
Yep, all day long. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide, Randall. So this is a little bit about my experience as a student. And guys, you guys can't tell from my face, but I've been in school since last century. First grade for me was 1970, and all the way through at Fresno State even. This is kind of what I got from my teachers. I got a direct instruction element. They explain things, listen, 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 sit up straight. And then I would get some work, and it tended to be DOK 1. So those are things like, these little worksheets like this one's on spelling words or word searches or answer the questions at the end of the chapter. So this piece would take, let's say, 20 minutes. The teacher would tell me, oh, you've got about 20 minutes till class is over. If you finish your work, you don't have homework. And then the feedback would be later, and I'm going to see if I can do an infinity symbol here, which is not easy with a mouse. I would get my feedback, Randall, as a student between like 3 days and infinity, meaning that I may never get feedback, right? I may never get feedback. But I do want people to pay attention to three elements here. Direct instruction, we know how to do this. Give out work, we know how to do that, and do feedback. In protocols, the shift is small but important. Here's what we're doing on the protocols approach. We're going to give work now, Randall. We're going to give kids a question in Nearpod. Draw a picture of your favorite kind of volcano. And then I'm going to go like this. Oh my gosh, you guys don't know about different types of volcanoes? Let me show you a quick little video. The kids are like, I had no idea. I thought they were just like the ones in the movies. So I'm going to give feedback and instruction now. And then I'm going to give kids basically the same activity. Now tell me, what's your favorite type of volcano? And this feedback loop is really based on the way a lot of video games work, right? And I don't know about you, Randall, but I've played a little Call of Duty back in the day. The first time you land on the beach, on Omaha Beach, on D-Day and Call of Duty, you do not make it across the beach. It took me 41 times to get off the beach. So we're bringing that same kind of sense of immediate feedback and experiential work for kids. And this is why reps are such a thing, which we're going to get into in a little bit. If you've been in teaching for a while, I really want you to check this out. It's called the Ebbinghaus effect. And basically what happens is when you first learn something, your retention ends up there. 4 or 5 days later, you're at like 12%. The first time you review it, which is the second rep, you're going to be in like the 40s. The second time you review it, which is the third rep, now you're up here in the 60s. Randall, when we do the Fast and Curious in our classrooms, our kids are getting 8 reps during a week. And so we're locking in the mastery level learning. And that's such a huge experience for the kids.
Well, John, with that said, that is why we're here, right? So that is why the Kentucky Equity Playbook is out there. That is why we're using the What Works Clearinghouse, the Visible Learning Effect Size, and the EduProtocols, because this is all about the United We Learn. It's these various approaches. So let's jump into these 3 EduProtocols before we close
Yep.
out this session, John.
So we have 3 protocols to look at in the next 30 minutes or so. The first one is actually invented by a wonderful woman at the University of Wisconsin in the late 1960s, Randall. It's called the Freyer model. And it's what, from my experience, the most effective vocabulary strategy. So what you have kids doing is working on 4 quadrants. They're going to do the definition, the attributes, like and unlike examples. But here's what was, on paper, that's not that much fun because all I've got is a textbook, so I only have one definition. And then how do I add the like and unlike examples? I have to be able to draw. Well, not everybody's great at drawing. And then we did another cool thing because since it's on the internet, you can do your Frayer in Google Slides, you can do your Frayer in Nearpod, you can do your Frayer in the Microsoft Suite. And also, here's the other thing I thought. I thought, wait a minute, if I do, if I use a quiz like Quizlet or Blookit Monday and Tuesday to find out the 5 most missed Latin roots in my class, that means that on Wednesday we can do group collaboration on a Frayer. We can work together, which means each student does 1/4 of the load, so we can get it done way quicker. And here's a couple of quick examples. This is Esther Park, and she shared this on Twitter. Esther is doing, these are a modified version of a Frayer she did that's about team building. So dig this, you guys. She's doing with this with her kids who are EL students, like the first day of school to do team building. So you have team member 1, 2, 3, and 4. Who has the most siblings? Who's the tallest? Whose last name comes first in the alphabet? And who has the birthday closest to today? And what's a food you all like? What's a food you all dislike? And what is a place you all want to go? What a great little kind of icebreaker activity to get kids started. And you're teaching them really how to do academic things in a really fun way. This one's by my friend Sheila Edwards. Really, really cool. This one that we do in protocols is called Frayer a Friend. And so in Frayer a Friend, you ask them things they like, things they don't like, and you describe them, and then look at these little cute drawings right here, Randall. You ask them about their imaginary dream pet. It could be any mythical animal. And so you're teaching kids how to do Frayer models. This is on paper, so the prep is super low. And if you watch right here, it's pretty cute. If you read what Sheila says, she said, Smart Start strategy, Frayer friend, while subbing for another teacher. You guys know that's part of COVID, right? Hey, can you sub for Margaret? She's out today. So what Sheila did, Randall, was she literally just took a standard Frayer and had the kids, if you look carefully, she said cross out and write in. She like just literally handed it out as a sub. See this one where it says this? Cross that out. And that's part of the agility of protocols. She just knew she needed a blank Frayer. So let's do a Frayer here real quick using the Nearpod tools, you guys. You can jump in and do a couple of the quadrants here. We got 11 people in there. I know Robert McCollum is able to join us. Robert's seen me do this with students in his district. He'll be sharing with us in the second session. Robert's from a school district called Hesperia in Southern California, Randall, and he does. He just retired like a week ago, but he went and toured probably 50 or 60 classrooms with me over the last year or so. And it's just amazing to see the work that kids can do when they're working on a Frayer. So, on this particular Frayer, what would be your highest hopes for your classroom and students when using EduProtocols? And we want people to drop a picture in there. What are things that look exciting so far about EduProtocols? Put in a couple of words or phrases. Ask us a question. What's something you wonder about protocols? And what's your engaged classroom look like? And we're very excited to hear metaphors in that setting. So we got Mo Jones is getting started there, and you can use the insert picture tool. If you look at the bottom, you guys. Oh, look at this good one. All right, Mo is on fire. I love it.
There we go.
So this somewhat not modern, Like I would say late 60s is not modern, right? Are you good with that, Randall?
I'm good
um,
with that.
well-researched model that Dorothy Frere used has fresh life because of technology. Kids can express themselves in multiple modalities. And this is one of the tools I used in my classroom. When I was in the classroom 2 years ago, we went from 23% reading to 48% passing in reading. Like, that's a huge jump. And I was not doing things after hours. This is not me staying up till 11 o'clock at night. And there we go. Mary's got a picture in. Yeah. I want those kids actively engaged. I want hands up. And
Hey, big
sometimes,
shout out to
Randall,
Mary Belcher. Big shout out to
yes.
Mary Belcher there, John. She's from the Kentucky Valley Educational Co-op down there, hosting this for us today. So big shout out. Thanks for participating and leading the way.
And I hope I got Mo's name right, but I think that's Mo. I love the way their classroom is inclusive of. Look, we've got people sitting and standing. We've got people in a wheelchair. Like a group that's coming together. That's what I see right there. And I think being a teacher is about bringing people together. And you heard me say this in opening, helping them be their best self, which is very different than making people be quiet and all do the same worksheet. And I just really think we need to talk about that more in education. Like our goal should not be having people be quiet. Our goal should be having people participate and having people build and create. I'm going to give you guys a few more seconds there. Mary's coming along very nicely. Look at this. Mary says easy to use about protocols. Ooh, examples in math. And Mary, we have examples in math, but they're
We have
not
examples.
necessarily there's so it's a yes no. Guess what, Mary? You can use a frayer to do math. So think about this, Randall. You could give third and fourth graders a number like 23 and say, do it with shapes, your tens, ones, hundreds. You could say, give me a tape diagram. You could say, give me the algorithm. And you could say, build an array. Just a frayer. But what you're doing is building number sense and dexterity with kids. So that's an easy one. If you like, I like timed math, not because of the history of timed math, like making kids upset about time and everything, but math facts. You can do those in Blookit, and you can do those in WordWall, and you can do those in 99 Math, and it's amazing. Kids will beg for
Yeah.
more. In fact, Robert was in a room with me one time. We had 66 graders in a room. And so that's basically two classes. And when I left, we were doing some math facts, and they started chanting, one more round, one more round, which is just
Kids
an
are
awesome
asking.
thing.
Kids are asking for more engagement and to keep
They're
going and
asking
keep
for more
learning.
engagement, and
Wow,
I'm gonna go flashback. That's me in Call of Duty. I'm like,
nice.
I made it. I haven't made it across the beach, but it's Rep 23.
That's
So
right. That's right.
someday we're gonna get it. So you
Well,
guys,
and
I'm gonna go on.
speaking of 23, John, I love how you use that example with the math.
Hmm.
But I think that the big part that we missed there was the rich vocabulary that you
Hmm.
exposed us all to, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
you're exposing the kids to the vocabulary of mathematics in addition to the computation.
Right, and that's just how we expand, right? Like, so it's great to know that 9 times 9 is 81, but seeing how all those numbers work together and seeing the equation as well as the array is what gives kids the number sense for the future. Now, here's another really powerful Edge protocol. It's kind of our entry level protocol, but we basically do a cold quiz with kids. We give them 12 to 15 words, like Latin roots, for example, or key vocabulary from my early man unit in sixth grade, or we can give them numbers. I love doing arrays and things like that. Here's the key though, Randall. When's the feedback? It's immediate.
Immediate.
Now, rehearsal and memorization has a 0.73, which means compared to zero point 0.4, I'm more of an ELA teacher, but I can tell that's almost twice as much. And so what we do that's different on the Fast and Curious is we give kids a cold quiz. We give them immediate feedback on the 25% they missed. I'm not going to review all 15, Randall, but all the tools like GimKit, WordWall, Blookit, all those, they will give me an immediate ranking of the 5 that the kids struggle with. And then guess what we do? We quiz immediately. Immediately, we give that quiz again while it's fresh in the kid's mind. And Randall, we're getting 20 to 40% growth per day.
Wow.
Per day
Wow. So
on that.
the rehearsal is creating a baseline, right? So the
Yep.
rehearsal allows you to go back and see where are we missing information
Yep.
and what information kids have truly understood. And then how do we get that to the next level?
And then here's a testimonial from TikTok showing how with it EduProtocols are. Randall, do you want to play our next little video?
Absolutely. I can't believe that educators are on TikTok, but let's see what they have to say.
So this is the past couple of days. You'll see that they took the vocab, this is for 10 vocab words. They did it cold right here, had never seen them before. Then we stopped, reviewed a few of them, tested again, made that score. This is what my other hour did. And then this is today. They did it first thing this morning, took a break, reviewed the questions that we missed, took it again, same thing right here. Now our goal as a class is 95%, and I've been using Gimkit and I love the reports that it creates. I'm a believer, Fast and Curious worked. We're not in school this week, so I can't show you my results from Friday. I left them on my board. If I get back up there, I'll make sure I take a picture and show you. But when we came in on Friday and tested again using Gimkit, both classes hit 95 and 97%. I also asked my students what they thought about how we did it as opposed to the typical worksheet and then quiz on Friday. Overwhelmingly, they all said they know the words so much better. And this makes sense because for the quizzes, they were just memorizing them and then dumping them for the quiz, and then they would forget them. But this way, we were doing it every day, constantly. They felt like they understood the vocabulary better than doing it the other way. Sold. Fast and Curious for the win.
And boom. And then again, this is a teacher that I've never sat with in real life, Randall. She just picked it up from some videos and she was testifying there on TikTok. Now let's go a little deeper with the same concept because what she was talking about was just vocabulary words. Now check this out, Randall. I love this one. This is my friend Connie. Her district ELA program specialist shows up in her room. She says all classes have 91% proficiency on 67 terms in 6 days, Randall. All classes. And so the district specialist says,
Wait a
so
minute there, John. Hold on a minute.
yeah,
Hold on a minute.
yeah,
Wait a minute. My mind is totally blown here. Okay. So you're at 91% on the base level terms in
yep,
6 days,
yeah.
where usually
67 terms, Randall, not 10 words, not 20 words. 67.
67, where usually it takes us 180 days to hopefully get everybody to 80%, 85%.
Right, right, right,
So if you
right.
can do this in 6 days, now you have 174 days of the
To do
really
other
cool
stuff.
stuff to do.
Yeah. And I love this part. So the district ELA specialist said, so you taught the 67 terms, and Connie says no. And this district specialist says no, and she says no. And this is you right here, brother. Reps get results. Reps get results. And look what this kid wrote right here. Mrs. Jones is awesome. And who wouldn't like kids writing that on their board? So she's not just wiping the kids out with this. They're loving being good at the content. And kids, they, again, it's that video game kind of reflex. Feedback leads more. Here's Shannon Quigley. Now, that was Los Angeles, San Bernardino. Here is Indiana. Listen to this. Had the best morning with fifth graders. Okay. They did a cold quiz, Randall. They did a cold quiz. 5 minutes. So they did the cold quiz. Here's the cold quiz 28%. They then read the Newsella article and they went from 28 to 89%. 5 minutes.
Wow.
So
28 to
she's
89%.
pairing up a reading with a quizzes. So she gave them like a 5-question quiz about this subject in Newsella. She said, okay, I see the baseline. Let's read the article. The kids read the article 89% in 5 minutes. And here's the best part, Randall. What's Shannon got to grade tonight?
Nothing.
Very, very little. Look at all that green. It's really cool. So I think this is our last one for this part of the the first half of the show. This one's Iron Chef, and it's one of the original EduProtocols that goes all the way back to the school I was at in 2008. And so it's basically Iron Chef is a modern take on a jigsaw. Everybody remembers jigsaw from their teacher prep program. But what happens is you get into the classroom and you're like, dude, I cannot correct 30 jigsaws on paper. Like the what comes in is so much I can't process it. So here's what we came up with. It's a really neat little switch. I'm going to have kids build and complete the Iron Chef in 25 minutes or less. They get 10 minutes to build plus 2 minutes per group to present. It is the definition of reciprocal teaching because what we've done on this one, Randall, is each kid gets one slide in their group. And we're going to have each kid take 10 minutes to build one slide. I usually put 5 people in a group and they get 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, all the slides are done. And then each group gets 2 minutes to present, which means in under 30 minutes, I can have 30 kids make 30 slides, present them in 6 groups. And what's nice about this is each kid gets one slide. And let's say that 12-year-old John's having a bad day. I don't wreck my whole team. And I'm going to hear my slide 4 to 5 other times from other kids. And it is just super fun and super low prep. I'll show you guys an example of one. And this is by Janelle Carroll. I love what Janelle did. She took the Iron Chef concept. So it's a jigsaw. Everybody gets one slide. She mashed it up with a frayer. So one student is doing this, Randall, and I'll kind of walk through it. This student's word is quadrilateral. They're going to do the definition, attributes, examples, non-examples, frayer, boom, money. But this teacher added the secret ingredient, which is what's a real life example. So, real life example, Rubik's Cube and pizza box, right? Awesome. But watch this. This is where it gets cool, Randall. Check this out. The other student in the room is now doing definition, attributes, examples, non-examples on polygons. And guess what, Randall? There's another kid doing a rhombus, and what a great example of rhombus. And this is what it looks like when the team has completed it. And again, this works in Nearpod. This works in Microsoft PowerPoint slides, the O365 model. It works in Google. It works in Pear Deck if you've got Pear Deck. And so this is reciprocal teaching. Randall, what's my prep on this? I need 4 words. That's my prep. I need 4 words.
Now, what I really love about this, John, is...
Oh, by the way, I'm pretty sure this is 5th grade at the most. It may be 4th. It's either 4th or 5th, but you've got 4th and 5th graders making slides that look like that in 10 minutes? Are you kidding me? Sorry to cut you off.
And no, this is what I was going to say. The exact same thing. I really like that we're challenging the kids to be their best selves, and they're showing up as their best selves, right? So we're giving them that access and opportunity to do it. But what's most important to me is they go through the model, and then they find the real world application.
Mm-hmm. And that's where going one-to-one and having access to the whole Google instead of just the textbook is such a game changer. This would not look like this if all the kids were doing is pulling it out of a textbook or a workbook. But the ability to choose, the ability to say, this is the perfect non-example, allows that ownership piece that is just really cool.
Well, I mean, think about... Kids often say, well, when am I going to use a quadrilateral in real life, or a rhombus in real life, or a polygon?
Every time I order pizza, bro.
Hey, man, it's Pizza Friday. Let's do it, right?
Let's go.
Yeah. So now I'm like, Rubik's Cube, So it's the application of learning is what I'm loving about that slide.
Yep. And then here's 7 in a nutshell. 7, I'm going to say it again. Ask questions to help students develop deeper lesson. Look what Jamie Halsey's doing here, Randall. Listen to this. They did the Iron Chef Challenge. They took the anthology, which is the district reading book, right? About the birth of democracy and turned it in. They had guilds. The kids are now competing for the best group slide deck, and all the winners on the winning team got a rare card. So Jamie has now taken the basic idea of the jigsaw, and she's added these other pieces of like, we're going to talk about the birth of democracy. We're going to look at the craft and the art of making slides. Amazing work. And what's her prep time if she wants to do this next week? Like nothing.
Oh, that's
And so here's one that we're going to do a quick run at, you guys. So this is another important thing. When we do protocols, we always start with a low cognitive load. So in this sample one, we're going to do your first classroom tech. And this teacher shared mimeograph. Here's their 3 facts. Didn't need the extra picture, but they were inspired, added the extra picture. And here's what we call the secret ingredient. What's next? And that person wanted an Apple Pencil. That's,
nice.
they want an Apple Pencil was their next.
Nice.
Here's a different teacher. Same question. What was your first classroom tech? And people always get a chuckle out of this one, Randall. All I had at the end of the year were the brown ones. I'd used up all the blues and reds, right? And binders full of curriculum transparencies, games like Battleship, and then cleaning all the transparencies. So
Oh, the
this
cleaning.
person's first tech was overhead projector, and then their drool worthy item was one of these Yeti microphones.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you guys a chance to tinker with this and let you see what an Iron Chef might work like. Now this is what is called a mega Iron Chef, so we're all in one big Iron Chef. And I'm going to put the code up again for anybody that might be joining late. If you want to jump in late, we're also going to have a code at the end. If you are watching the video, we'll have a code where you can jump in and do the Nearpod at a self-paced level. And that's going to be available till April. So
Nice.
join.nearpod.com U5FLX. And we ended up with a cool code today. It's like U5 are going to flex. I like
I
that.
like it. I like it. I like it. So, John, explain to us real quick. I heard you say you start with a low cognitive load. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
So the mistake that I made as a classroom teacher was I was teaching sophomore English. I've taught all the K-12 grade levels. And I asked my sophomore English class boy people, I said, boys, I want to compare this book with this commercial. And they really struggled with it. They didn't know how to do a Venn diagram. And I said, oh my gosh, this is a call to action. So this has been one of the main bases for all the protocols, which is start with a fun version. So I immediately came in the next day with those boys because I had the lowest English class. It was 25 boys and 1 girl, and we what we did was we compared a Western bacon cheeseburger to a Big Mac, and
Oh,
so it was fun to pull back and say you don't have to compare Richard III to Othello. You can start at a lower level. And we spent 30 minutes doing that activity because I had kids that said this, oh well, I can't remember what's on a Big Mac. I go, dude, you got a MacBook on your desk, look
yeah.
it up. And then I had
So,
another guy that said, I've
the
never
rigor's
had
still there, right?
yeah, the rigor's still there because they're still comparing, they're still summarizing, they're still I've just pulled back on the academic piece. I had another kid that said, "I've never had a Western bacon cheeseburger," and I said, "Well, dude, have you had a Whopper?" And he's like, "Of course." And I go, "Well, just make yours Whopper versus Big Mac." So teaching kids to be agile and to get rid of that learned helplessness, and it's a really powerful way to do it. And designing an Iron Chef is really easy. What I'll typically do is I'll make 5 slides. And then I just give each person a title on their slide. So if we're doing cell division, Randall, I have a mitosis, an anaphase, a prophase, right? If I was doing George Washington, I would have early life, young adult, military, political history, legacy. If I'm doing, let's see, early man, I might have stone tools, domestication, agricultural trap. So I'm just going to jigsaw in the classic sense, but each kid gets 1 slide. And so I see Matt working there, but we're running tight on time. So I'm gonna move us forward so that we can wrap up here. And Randall, this is all you, brother.
All right. So here's the best part about this. So for everybody who's out there in Kentucky, who are Kentucky educators, and you are going through this Capture-Curate-Share series, so this is part 2 of a 4-part series, you can now earn 1 semester hour of free graduate credit, and it's free. So
Yeah.
thanks to to our folks out there who made this happen with the co-op, with the department, with everybody out there. So 1 semester hour of grad credit, it's free. So the question is, how do I get it for free? What do I need to do?
I think we
So
scanned the
basically,
QR code. I'm pretty sure.
there's a QR code. Just scan the QR code, put it on your phone. It will take you into a registration for a Google form. And inside the Google form, you just put your basic information. My name is, my email is, my school, my county.
You
Because we
had me
want to make
singing
sure.
Eminem right there, bro. My name
That's
is
it.
what?
That's it. We want to make sure that this is only for Kentucky teachers. That's why we're doing it. And then basically you're watching these series that you have. You go into Flipgrid and you say at number 2, you go into Flipgrid and you pick 6 topics that you love. Boom. I'm going to talk about these things in Flipgrid and make 6 videos about the 4 sessions that we've had over time. And then you just open up this thing called Wakelet, wakelet.com. It's in there in the directions. Open it up, put all your Flipgrid videos in there. So you're curating it into a portfolio. So a portfolio of your experiences. But here's the best part. Here's the best part. Here's the best part. Here's the best part. The absolute best part, John. The best part about this is the effect size from 1 semester hour of free graduate credit. It's a 1.5 collective teacher efficacy. We are doing stuff together. We are growing together. And
out of Hattie's 256 items, number 1 is collective teacher efficacy. Building, sharing, reflecting together. It's number 1 out of 256 things.
United, we learn. That's what it comes down to, right? If we can do a United, we learn concept, which is collective teacher efficacy, our kids will be successful and great. So, hey, everybody out there, go ahead, get your free grad credit. It's out there for you. John's going to give you the self-paced code, and then we have to skedaddle out of here.
And if you liked what you're seeing or listening to, go to W6QD7, and you can take this Nearpod course until April of 23. April of 23. W6QD7 until April of 23. And then I think we're on our last slide there. Yeah, it's there we go. Look, we're shutting her down.
All right. So that's the last slide. We are good to go. And we're going to have session 2 coming up soon. So there's another link for session 2 coming up soon, because this is about the Kentucky Equity Playbook, supporting that, the what works, the visible learning, EduProtocols, and the United We Learn atmosphere. So see you guys in 2 minutes and 2 seconds, 2 and 2, as the old school used to say. Thanks, John. Appreciate you being here.
Chuck Woolery, dude. That's old school.
That's old school, man. Don't let the Botox fool you. Take care, everybody.